Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley?
Present.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
Present.
Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Gill?
Present.
Freeholder Johnson?
Present.
Freeholder Luciano?
Here.
Freeholder Owens, absent. Freeholder Sebo? Vice President Sebo? Freeholder President Watson?
Present. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay, let's move to the public comment session on agenda items. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda, except for resolutions number 1 and 15, which have been withdrawn by the administration. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any agenda item, with the exception of resolutions 1 through 15, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Madam Clerk, there's no one present who will wish to speak at this time. Let me ask if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on any issue. Please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. Again, you will have a total of 3 minutes to speak. And again, Madam Clerk, there's no one wishing to speak at this time. Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Madam President, yes, there is. Deborah Collins is here to present the 2013 annual report of the Office of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action.
Okay, Mr. Shiala?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. This particular annual report, because of snow and some other instances, have been put off for a couple of freeholder meetings. We apologize, but Ms. Collins is here to present the 2013 annual report to the Board of Chosen Freeholders. I give you Deborah Collins.
Thank you, Ms. Collins.
Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Administrator. For the record, I'm Deborah Collins, the Director of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action for the County of Essex, and you have before you a memorandum which constitutes the 2013 annual report of the Essex County Office of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action. The primary purpose of the report is to provide an overview of our outreach, purchasing, and procurement activity, and to be specific, we chronicle our efforts to ensure that small business enterprises, SBEs, woman-owned business enterprises, WBEs, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and minority business enterprises have a full and fair opportunity to compete successfully for contracts and to avail themselves of the resources the county offers. Toward this end, our primary goals are to conduct outreach, provide information, access to capital, and technical assistance to the business owners in our target population, which we've just described. At this juncture, we note that previously submitted reports have documented the county's spend on a quarter-by-quarter basis throughout the previous year. Hence, the instant report will provide a breakdown of fourth quarter activity in particular and summarize overall contracting results for the year 2013. As always, we're indebted to our colleagues, business associates, and governmental partners for bolstering our outreach efforts by keeping our efforts front and center as we reach out to the entrepreneurs of the County of Essex and beyond. Below follows a summary of our most important accomplishments this year, and if you're following along with me, I'm at page 2, and will address, first and foremost, fourth quarter results. The county spent $23,602,907.77 in private contracts. The total dollar amount awarded to the vendors in our target population was $11,856,762.11. Minority business enterprises received $429,911.22, or 1.82% of the spend. SBEs were awarded $7,661,177.29, or 32.46%. And women-owned business enterprises received $4,374,772.97, representing 18.50% 3% of all private contracts. At Appendix A, you will find a listing of these contracts for the period September 26, 2013 through December 18, 2013. In the paragraph following, we set forth the annual totals. The county spent a total of $149,803,578.18 in private contracts overall. Our records show that small woman-owned and minority vendors received $57,959,589.42, or 38.7% of the total spend last year. Moreover, the data indicate that small business enterprises received $44,983,683.85, or 30%. Minority business owners received $13,170,022.10, or 8.8%, and women-owned business enterprises received $16,283,129.31, or 10.9% of the total contract dollars awarded to the population overall. Last year, there were several major public works contracts. We have them listed here. You can certainly read this at your own leisure. But I'd like to call your attention now to what we call the low-hanging fruit, or perhaps fruit that's on the ground. Contracts under $5,400. And you will see that the average contract dollar amount for the fourth quarter of 2013 was $940.10. However, the average for the year was $1,009.71. As is the case with all purchases below the bid threshold of $17,500, the goods or services in this category were procured through the request for quotes process, which requires the requesting division to seek written quotes from 3 qualified vendors who are ready, willing, and able to provide goods and services to the County of Essex. In 2013, we give you some examples of opportunities that were available, and they are as follows: interpreting services, legal transcription, catering, respite care services, the rental of portable sanitation units, and speaker fees for seminars and workshops offered by the Office of Small Business Development. At Appendix C, you will find contracts under $5,400 for the period December 6, 2012 through December 18, 2013. The next category consists of those contracts between $5,400 and $17,500. To give you some examples, we have in this particular category, lawn and garden bed maintenance, hill screening, hauling services. Others include a $9,288 award to the Massey Agency. As many of you know, Massey is a minority and woman-owned business enterprise. They have provided services to the county in the form of the renewal of a continental crime insurance policy. On-call consulting and design engineering services are also the kinds of contracts that you will find in this particular category. For a more detailed listing, we ask that you consult Appendix D, contracts between $5,400 and $17,500 for the period December 6, 2012 through December 18, 2013. Now, as you know, our disparity study did not speak specifically to subcontracting goals. However, when the information is available to us, we present to you the following public works projects and subcontractors on them. On September 11, 2013, the county awarded a contract in the amount of $7,553,000 to Bismarck Construction, a minority business enterprise, to construct the education center at Turtleback Zoo. At Appendix E, you will find a listing of subcontractors on this particular project. I'd like to point out, however, that Sparta Steel, a WBE/SBE, received an award in the amount of $368,000 to provide structural steel services. A&S Consultants, you'll see again a minority business enterprise, also received an award to provide material testing services. We call your attention in the following paragraph to Brockwell and Carrington Contractors, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them for participating in an event that we held last year to allow our contractors to meet with general contractors. It was very successful. However, Brockwell and Carrington did receive a contract award in the amount of $8,329,000 to construct a new public works building. JHDS LLC and MBE received an award in the amount of $375,000 to provide structural steel services, and the aforementioned MBE A&S Consultants will provide testing services on this project as well, pursuant to a contract in the amount of $50,000. Last but not least, Smith Glass and Metal Company a WBE SBE received a $440,000 award to provide glacier services. At Appendix F, you will find more information on the Public Works Building subcontractor report, which we have received from our colleagues in the Department of Public Works. Over the course of the year, several contractors in the professional services field awarded subcontracts to small, minority, and women-owned business enterprises. And we cite, for example, once again, A&S Consulting and DM Graphic Center. And at Appendix G, you will find professional services subcontractor report for your perusal. Additional accomplishments include the following. As you know, we were fortunate enough to be named as one of the members of a 9-person business advisory board providing consultation to the Super Bowl host committee. It's a privilege to do so. In that role, we were able to assist in the sourcing and ultimate selection of minority and women-owned businesses to vie for subcontracts in connection with the Super Bowl. And as of the writing of this particular report, 5 small business owners registered with the county landed contracts in connection with the Super Bowl. I'd just like to mention them. MZM Construction Management Incorporated had a snow removal contract. Vonda's Kitchen, Vonda McPherson, actually catered the VIP tailgate party and provided food services for the international broadcasters. Eagle Detective Agency provided 150 security positions. Symphony Printing had many huge printing contracts, and Maverick Building Services, based right here in Newark, provided janitorial services. There were many highlights in 2013. Very proud of the fact that we were in a feature article in the magazine entitled Leading Women Entrepreneurs, touting the accomplishments of the Office of Small Business Development. And of course, we thank this particular board for honoring yours truly during Women's History Month last year. In total, we planned, organized, and presented 5 seminars last year and participated in 3 outside forums. Noteworthy among the seminars we presented were nuts and bolts of home improvement contracts, negotiation skills for entrepreneurs, and demystifying the RFP process, which is so popular that we offer it every year now and have been doing so for the past 4 years in conjunction with the Public Works Department. Finally, our outreach efforts have yielded results with respect to the number of vendors who are currently registered through our office. In 2013, 137 business owners registered to do business with the county by completing a business database form. As a consequence, we now maintain a database of over 1,487 entrepreneurs. Very proud of that fact and always hopeful of broadening that outreach. In the area of technological progress, we've been able to spur activity in both the physical and virtual space that we call the Biz Center. We provide you with a link to that website, and we're very proud of the fact that we actually were able to, well, I don't want to say overhaul, but we certainly did update the site, and that it's now possible for vendors to go right onto the Biz Center website and register to do business with us and to learn about upcoming seminars and workshops. The new website also features information about our office, biz tips, and it does reference a collection of 500 materials and other books that are specific to entrepreneurship. So we're very proud of the Biz Center. In furtherance of our goal of attracting and tracking our outreach efforts, we've implemented a tool called MailChimp, and that speeded up the process of sending out invitations and other internet communications to the 1,487 registrants in our database. In December of 2013, we were among the panelists who were selected to evaluate growth plan presentations delivered by the prospective graduates of the Entrepreneurship Pioneers Initiative of Rutgers University. Each of the business owners provided an overview of their businesses and received feedback on everything from marketing strategy to staffing projections based on anticipated financial growth. In 2013, we also organized and presented 2 Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, outreach training programs. The OSHA 30 program actually yielded 27 graduates. We were delighted to be able to congratulate them on passing the exam on the first try. Although our formal bonding readiness program has been completed, we continue to work with the Surety and Fidelity Association of America, and we're happy to report that our monitoring efforts have resulted in an increase in the number of contractors who are now deemed bondable or bonded. 30.9% are in that category, and the total bonding value, actual and potential combined amount, is $9,300,000. We built new partnerships last year as well with the City of East Orange and Barnabas Health, and we look forward to collaborating with them on future outreach initiatives. We also renewed our partnership with the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice to explore strategies for identifying qualified laborers to work on construction sites. We've created strategic partnerships with private sector financiers and insurers overall, and I just want to pause momentarily to tell you, and I'll tell you more next quarter, that we are actually going to launch a financial literacy program, a series of 5 seminars that will be coming up in April in an effort to, again, cement or solidify our relationships with private sector financiers. So in summation, 2013 provided greater insights into the developmental needs of our target population. Armed with their feedback, we look forward to meeting these needs in 2014. We welcome your feedback and that of the administration and, of course, our county executive. Moreover, and of utmost importance, we thank you for your continuing support of our efforts, and we look forward to working with you in the future. I'm happy to take any questions you may have at this time.
Okay,
This
before
concludes my
we
report.
ask for questions, for the record, Madam Clerk, Freeholder Owens is present. Freeholder Vice President Seabold.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to commend Deborah Collins on the excellent work that she's doing. And a few things. She has excellent meetings conducted with contractors. Unfortunately, I was not able to go to the last meeting because I had a conflict, but I do understand that President Watson and Freeholder Owens, that you were there, and it was a wonderful program, and I've certainly enjoyed those programs which you've had in the past.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to commend you for including the LGBT on your schedule for an opportunity to compete for contracts. I'm the freeholder liaison to that group, and I had discussed with them, or they had discussed with me, the fact that they wanted the opportunity to obtain contracts, and I suggested that they speak to you, and they were thrilled that they were included, and I'm so happy to see that they are included in your presentation tonight. So I want to thank you for doing that. That was really wonderful that you did, so thank you so much. And thank you so much for the great work you're doing.
It is our pleasure, and our goal, the county's goal, is to be as inclusive as possible. We are delighted to welcome aboard our initiative, the LGBT community.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Okay, before we move, ask for additional questions from the freeholders, I normally ask the chairperson to speak first, and then I'll come back to the other freeholders. Freeholder Beasley, I know there was a meeting on the Affirmative Action Committee.
Yes.
Do you have any questions or comments before the other freeholders join
I
in?
would just like to add my comments and then refer to Freeholder Johnson, who was in attendance at the last quarterly meeting. But to continuously have the quarter report really gives the freeholders what we need on a quarterly basis to keep up. And it seems to equal out to almost 40%. I know it's 38.7. And then with the workshops and the outstanding recognition that the county has gotten through the efforts of your department, it just seems that we're getting closer, you know, to what the intent of it was, to do more business, you know, with minorities, women, small business. So I commend that, and it looks like things are just getting even better, you know, in that area. But I'd like to defer to Freeholder Johnson so that he can give some summary of their last meeting.
Okay, Freeholder Johnson.
Thank you, Brother Bilal. First thing is one of the things that Freeholder Beasley said about it's slowly climbing, the percentage of minority and women-owned businesses that are engaging in our system. And that's a plus because, you know, Rome wasn't built overnight, so it's definitely a stepping stone. And what I like most about the things that you are doing is your outreach, the way you guys are putting things out for people to be able to to know that it's there. You know, it's like that old saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. But as I've always said, and each time that we've discussed this matter, I've always said that, yes, with a little more from us helping to get the outreach out to the people, a lot of people don't know exactly what we have here. And I think we all have to work together a little more to help you bring those numbers up the way that your office is trying. We know you have a small office, small staff, but you are doing a tremendous job with what you have. I just think that maybe we need a little more. Maybe next year, Madam President, we can push for another person in your office to give you a little more help.
Thank you, Freeholder Johnson. We thank you for your continued support. You and other freeholders have been so supportive of our efforts. Freeholder Vice President Seabold, Madam President, you have all been so very supportive of our efforts. And Freeholder Owens, we appreciated your attending the last event as well. It's wonderful for our business owners to see that our elected officials are truly, truly dedicated and committed to the success of our efforts. So I thank you on behalf of those business owners and behalf of our staff, Samuel West Coleman and Tammy Marshall, who do a wonderful job in keeping this the office afloat.
Very good. Additional questions, freeholders? Being there are no additional questions, Ms. Collins, now that another year has come to a close, I am very pleased that we are continuing to climb that long, steep hill towards achieving the goals that we are all anxious to meet. There is no question that you and your staff are working around the clock to find innovative ways to help small minority and women-owned businesses who contracts with the county. You are making steady progress, and your efforts are very much appreciated to this board. I know you share that belief, and there's still ground to cover, and I am positive and hopeful that we will get there together. I want to thank you for your leadership and your thorough and informative reports, for taking the time to be here this evening. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, let's move to the next item. Is resolution number 1, please read it.
Resolution 1, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget Reserve Transfer Resolution.
Mr. Shiala?
Yes, Madam President. This is a transfer resolution. It's broken out into 2 areas. The first is out of the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department, out of their salaries and wage line item, is requesting to transfer $50,000 out of that account and into their other expense line item. And in our Department of Corrections, they are looking to transfer out of their other expense line item $26,000 to fund the medical examiner other account line item in the 2013 budget.
Okay. Before I ask for the freeholders for questioning our comments, Mr. McInerney, you have any comments?
Yes, this is a very small reserve transfer, so what we're doing here is we're transferring between items within last year's budget. And these items here are actually within the same cost centers. So you're just transferring from one cost center's salaries and wages to their other expenses, and in public safety, it's other expenses to another piece of that same cost center's other expenses. So they're not even going outside of their own cost centers. So, and we have till March 31st to make any other reserve transfers that would be required or by the administration, if any are needed.
Okay. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? And we on resolution number 1. No questions, no comments. Freeholders, do I have a motion and second? Moved by Freeholder Bobadilla and second by Freeholder Owens. No further questions, comments. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley.
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark, absent Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, let's go to Resolution 2. Will you please read it?
Resolution 2, Department of Administration and Finance, Office of Management and Budget, resolution to exceed the county tax levy and to establish a cap bank for calendar year 2014 per NJSA-40A: colon 45.14.
Okay, Mr. Chiara?
Yes, I'll have Mr. Acker explain it more thoroughly than I can. Mr. Acker?
Thank you, Ralph. Mark Acker, I'm the Director of the Department of Administration and Finance. This resolution is asking the freeholders to essentially take what tax room we had in this year's budget to increase taxes, which we did. It's in the amount of $8,368,354.23. That's how much more we could have increased our tax levy, which we didn't. And it allows us to put that into a bank, if you will, to extend if we need it in either of the next two fiscal year budgets, 2015 or 2016. So it just allows the governing body the flexibility going forward if in either of those next 2 years' budgets we happen to have the need to tap into that bank, if you will. It's there. So it's just establishing a management flexibility type of process to allow us going forward to have it there if we need it. If we don't ever use it, after 2 years, it just goes away.
Continue. That's it?
Really, yeah.
So, okay, maybe I'll hear from Mr. McInerney before I...
This is, when you use the term bank, you think that it's possibly a cash bank. This is not a cash bank. This is just an authorization, the ability to increase taxes by an amount outside of the normal calculation in the future. Typically, that doesn't happen. We had the ability to raise taxes up to $411 million. We only raised the levy up to $405 on the cap side, on the tax side. So we don't usually use this. I haven't seen us use this in some time, but it is a management tool. There's no reason not to approve it and give us that flexibility if it's ever necessary.
Okay, yeah, Freeholder Clark?
Thank you, Madam President. When's the last time we asked to be able to exceed the cap?
I think since I've been here for 12 years, that has not been done.
Now, I know that we've passed, that's why I asked the question, because I've not seen us ask, or I've not seen you ask for this in particular, because it's one thing to ask to establish the cap bank. It's another thing to ask to exceed the levy. Because unless I'm reading this wrong, it's a resolution to exceed the levy and establish a cap bank. Now, I know that we've established cap banking before. The whole idea of that is if you don't go up to, your 2%, like say you only go, like this year, we're only going 1.5%, then we can bank that other 0.5%. And like say maybe next year, if the board, whoever the board is, chooses maybe to only go 1%, they could bank the other 1%, and then going forward, they may have that 1.5 if they ever need to get to a point where they need to go 3.5 as opposed to the customary 2. Now, am I correct so far?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Freeholder, you're-
So why are we asking now why are we asking now for permission to exceed? We're not going to exceed. The budget has already been submitted, and it's coming in even under the 2%. So what are we asking to exceed for?
Okay, Mr. McInerney.
If I might, you have, first of all, this isn't for this budget year. This cap bank carries forward. So it wouldn't be for the use of this budget, which we're addressing tonight, Freeholder. It would be potentially for the use in future budgets over the next couple of years. The timing of it is necessary because you have to do this prior to the introduction of the budget. So in order to establish this cap bank, you have to have the governing body approve it prior to introduction. That's why this resolution even comes first before. So that answers the timing issue, and as far as this budget, it's really something that could potentially affect future year's budget.
And I think that to establish the cap bank, I think that's smart. I think that's prudent, especially since we're not going up to 2%. I don't get the request to exceed. That's what I don't get right now.
Can someone answer?
Madam President, I believe I can address that question. Again, Mark Acker, Director of Department of Administration and Finance. It's an all-in-one resolution. If, in fact, we needed to exceed the cap this year and go up to the 3.5%, this would allow us to do that, and then what's left over would allow us to bank. It's all in one resolution. We're not exceeding, we're just banking everything.
Yeah, and I guess, I'm not going to split hairs. I'm not going to ask any more questions. My only point is this. You can establish the cap bank, bank whatever you need to, and then at the point at which you feel you need to exceed, whoever is sitting as a freeholder at that point in time can give you the authority to go ahead and exceed the levy then. And stuff will already be in the bank. That's all. That's my only point. As opposed to having us make that decision now for future boards down the line.
Mr. McInerney?
Future boards will still have the authority to regulate what that tax levy would be through their function as oversight, their oversight function with regard to the budget. They could bring that budget back down so you don't exceed the cap. Bring that budget back down so you don't have to use the bank. So that's still within the purview of the board.
Did I see Freeholder? Did I see your hand? So the purpose of going over the cap that you're requesting, we are requesting that the 3% tax levy for this year, which we're talking about $8,368,000, in excess of the tax levy otherwise permitted by the local government. So are we saying that we're asking for, we want to go up to the 3.5%? And again, you say we need to do that because we will bank half of it and use some of it?
Madam President, we're not using any of this year's potential 2014 cap. We're under. We're just taking what we could have taken the levy to and saying we didn't use it, but we would like to, quote unquote, bank that to the extent we may need it in either of the next 2 years' budgets.
And while we're doing this, there is an increase in the taxes? Will there be an increase in the taxes for the county residents?
The budget, as
The budget?
presented to the freeholders tonight, has an increase, as was presented by the executive back in January to the freeholders. And we can go there in the next section. but it's a 1.65% increase on the tax levy.
I know that. So, Mr. McInerney?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
just
get
on the
clear
cap tax levy side, we raised taxes to 400, from 398 to 405. We could have increased taxes within the levy to 411. We're 6 million under what, on the cap tax levy side, we're 6 million under what we could have raised taxes. So we're ridiculously, we're way under what the cap allowed us to raise the levy to. So, but we're not raising it $6 million higher than we could. So I'm just saying that's the point that we're making. It's getting confusing here. It's just we have the ability to go higher, but we're not. We're not raising. This doesn't authorize us to do anything that we haven't already done within the scope of the introduced budget. We said it was going to be raised by 1.5%. It's raised by 1.5%. There is an adjustment. We'll go over it to bring it to 1.65%, and that's it.
Okay, Mr. President.
That was my question, Frank. So establishing this bank and exceeding the number doesn't require the board to, or the county to increase the levy at all? It doesn't require any additional increase? I think that
The
was
budget sets the levy,
Sets the levy, right.
not this resolution.
Okay, Mr. Polyvecchio, did that answer your?
Yes, it did. I think he answered it before I asked it, but it's clarified, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Additional questions, freeholders? Freeholder Owens?
The large increase for snow removal, how's that affecting our budget?
If I can, I think that's going to be the next resolution.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, freeholders, additional questions, comments?
Just through you, Madam President,
Yes, freeholder Luciano?
just so that I could ask through you to Mr. McInerney. So a little bit of a cloud here. If we could just break it down into layman's terms. If there's no fiscal impact now, and we're not using the money, what's the advantage to authorizing this and not waiting to authorize it when it may be needed?
You will authorize it when it may be needed. You have to authorize it. This gives you the bank. This only allows you to reserve it. It doesn't allow you to use it. You only can use it through the budget process. So we are not bringing our levy to the maximum amount we can. As a result, that differential gets to be banked. It's additional authorization. The following year, you could increase your levy beyond what the cap would allow you to do.
So are you?
This is not the authorization process. This is not the authorization process to do that. It's only the authorization process to allow the bank to exist. And, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the administration could come back with a levy higher than what was allowed by the cap because of the bank.
In this fiscal year?
No.
Or in the following fiscal year?
Following fiscal years. This is set. We've got the budget here.
Done, set, right?
1.65%, we're done after tonight. That's it. But we could have raised it from, instead of 405 million, we could have went up to 411 million.
So our reason for doing it now is in case we need it next year, we would have,
We would have
Reserve
the ability to do
we
it,
have
not
the
that we would have the ability to do it next year.
So are we also stating then if we don't do it now, we don't have the ability to do it next year?
That's correct. You would be limited.
Okay.
You lose the ability to bank that variance.
we would have to stay with the 3% next year if we don't do it.
You
And
have
we
to
need
stay
the
within the
extra money.
confines of the.
So you would have this amount that we're banking plus another amount. Is that what we're saying?
There's 2 years.
Yeah, there would be 2 years. So essentially, what we are banking is 2 years' worth
Those savings.
of savings.
Also, in essence, this is a savings, like a savings in case we need it. We'll have this money available.
No, you won't have money available. You'll have the
The
ability
ability to
to
go
raise
out.
the levy beyond the statutory amount.
Right.
It's still a statutory amount because it's within the cap, but beyond the calculated levy. Mark?
Right, so next year in 2015, if we wanted to go for 16 million, we'd have the opportunity.
If you want, if that's.
Or
if
roughly
that's
around that
higher than-
number.
Yeah. You would have the ability to go higher than what the calculation allowed you to do.
Right,
Up
so
to the
then,
bank.
so then technically what we are doing is we are authorizing another 8 million. We just might not be using it in 2014, just for the record. We're authorizing another 8 million that could be used as 16 million in 2015.
I don't know-
Roughly.
I don't know if I
Or
would
is that-
say, I don't know if I would say authorizing as much as reserving.
Reserving, right,
Reserving, right.
reserving.
Because then the budget process in the future, either 2015 or 16, if you need to use that, you would then authorize it and increase your levy accordingly.
Now I see it clearly. I understand what's going on here.
So we did this last year.
This is a
Yes,
very
we did.
confusing thing. We do it
I know
every
we
single
do it
year.
every
since
year.
then.
I know we did, but my question is, if when we did that last year, did we go back to utilize, I think, did we go back to utilize the right to use the levy? I mean, what did we do last year?
Through you, Madam President, I think it might be easy if, for the board's sake, we've established this bank for as long as New Jersey, under that statute, has allowed it. Over the past 12 years, we have not utilized that bank. What happens is, if you don't use it in that year, it goes away.
Oh, it goes
So
away,
this has a
okay.
life of only for the 2 fiscal years, 15, 16. That'll die. Next year, you'll create another
For 2 years.
banking opportunity, as well as the following year. But it'll sunset, it'll die off if you don't use it after the
That's what
the
I.
life of this ordinance, this
So,
resolution.
in the past, we didn't use it, and it just went away.
That's correct, Madam
Okay.
President.
All right. Do we have any other questions, freeholders? Freeholder Clark?
Just one, Madam, well, you
Go ahead, no, go ahead, because
I
I was
mean-
going to ask the same question.
Only one, and that is on page 204, where it says, "Therefore be it resolved by the board and chosen freeholders of the County of Essex, a majority of the full membership of this governing body affirmatively concurring that in the calendar year CY 2014 budget year, the final tax levy of the County of Essex shall, in accordance with this resolution and NJSA 40A:4-45.14, be increased by 3%, amounting to $8,368,354.23, and that the calendar year 2014 budget for the County of Essex be approved and adopted in accordance with this resolution. Be it further resolved that any amount authorized here and above that is not appropriated is part of the, as part of the final tax levy shall be retained, okay, as an exception to the final tax levy in either of the next 2 succeeding years.
You just read.
My concern is that we're saying that we're going to do one thing in this, but you're saying to us that we're going to do something else.
Two things, freeholder. The first paragraph that you referenced is part of, remember I said it's a two-pronged resolution. And to be honest with you, this format is state mandated. We didn't create it. Every county, every municipality that does this uses this format. So the first part of it is saying, we wish to take the levy up to 3.5%, okay? The second part is the key part. Be it further resolved that any amount authorized here and above taking it the extra 3%, that is not appropriated as part of the final tax levy. It has not been appropriated in our case, shall be retained as an exception. That's the bank.
Okay. Freeholders, additional questions, comments?
So, Madam President, may I
Yes,
just, last time?
Freeholder Luciana?
So the bank really is increasing by 5%. We're just not using the money this year. So we really have our finger on the trigger of 3.5%
If you need it.
for 2014,
That's-
even though we're not using it this year. I just want to get that clear.
That's my
Right.
understanding. Am I, did I?
We're increasing it by, Madam President, we're increasing it by 3.5%, only to get the maximum bank. Only to get the maximum amount in our bank.
Right.
But it's not, when you use the term money, there's no money here. There's strictly an authorization. It's much like saying, in a sense, if you're going to authorize bonds, but you don't necessarily use it. You have an authorization, but there is no.
But to Carol's defense, through you, Madam President, to
Yes.
Mr. McInerney, if this entire board was to change for 2015, they could authorize 16 or 17 million based on what this board did, rather than just 8.5 million if we didn't pass this.
You
And they
allow
can
them,
use it.
you allow the board, the administration, you allow them to raise the levy up and including the bank. Correct.
Correct, right. That's just, again, trying to break it down as to what's going on here. So that's the vote. The vote is to put the money in the bank for next year, but if everyone was to change, we've now, freeholders here presently, have given freeholders in the future, if that's the case, the opportunity to spend more money. I just want to put that on the record, because I don't know if I'm going to be here.
You give them the opportunity to raise the tax levies, assuming there's some huge problem with the budget, assuming there's something leaves our revenue base. There may be a need to raise taxes above the calculation. And so those are the types of emergencies. You got to look at this thing historically. Historically, we haven't used this bank. It's just to allow the flexibility.
Thank you, Mr. McInerney. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, Mr. Potter-Becker, do you have any questions?
I don't know. They were answered.
Okay. Okay, freeholders, I think freeholders, you've asked your questions and comments. Do I have a motion and a second? Moved by freeholder Sebo. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by freeholder Beasley. No further discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Freeholder Beasley?
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
Yes.
Freeholder Clark?
Yes.
Freeholder Gill?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Owens?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Siebel?
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, Resolution 3, withdrawn by the administration. And we'll go to Resolution 4. Wasn't that Resolution 2? I'm sorry, Resolution 2. That's what I'm saying. We did three.
No, I don't know what to read. No.
I don't know what they're reading. There's nothing withdrawn.
Oh, here.
She's looking at last week's agenda.
I have on my, I don't know what the other freeholders is looking at. I know, but that's what's in my packet. Okay, so let me go back Let me go back then, because on this one, it did have withdrawn by the administration. Okay, so let's go back to resolution 3 now. And you can read that into the record.
Okay. Resolution 3, introduction of the 2014 Essex County budget.
Okay, Mr. Sheila?
Yes, Madam President, I want to thank the board for having a very quick, concise budget hearings. We covered all of the materials over 2 Saturdays, and want to thank the board for your due diligence and your speedy process. This evening, we will be presenting the budget to this board, and if the board has any questions, I'm sure Mr. McInerney can go through the changes, as well as with Mr. Acker, on from when this was first presented by our county executive to tonight's actual introduction.
Okay, Mr. Acker, do you have any additional comments?
I will, Madam President. Again, Mark Acker, Director of Department of Administration and Finance. Excuse me. As you recall, we were here last week to do an emergency temporary appropriation in the amount of $2.5 million. $2 million, a little over $2 million of that was for additional snow money, and roughly $475,000 for our capital improvement fund for future capital projects. That $2.5 million was added to the budget that the county executive presented back in early January. Tonight, the budget that we're asking the board to introduce increases the initial budget not only by the $2.5 million from last week, but by roughly another $600,000 for tonight. And that $600,000 again is primarily attributed to snow money. $475,000 to Public Works, which that $475,000 combined with the $2,025,000 from last week, we're increasing the Public Works snow allocation by $2.5 million this year over last year. In addition to the $475,000 for the Public Works Department tonight, an additional $75,000 for the Parks Department for snow removal, and then there's a small allocation increase for the software development within the clerk's budget. The $600,000 roughly we're talking about increasing tonight over and above the $2.5 million last week is to be paid for by increase in the tax levy from 1.5% that the executive presented back in early January to 1.65% increase contained in the budget that we're asking the board to introduce this evening. So essentially, the budget that was presented to the board back in January 10th, I believe, has changed by $2.5 million last week, roughly $600,000 this week, $3.1 million. And then the one variable in there is grants. And grants is an issue as to the overall dollar amount. The budget that the executive presented back in January to the freeholders included the amount for grants that was in his presentation last year. Well, now we have a correct number. So that number that was in his budget was $24 million. This budget that's being presented has grants in $17 million. So there's roughly a $7 million decrease in grants, but that's on revenue and appropriations. And we've increased, this is the real increase, if you will, the budget by $2.5 million last week and $600,000 roughly this week. So the budget that you have before you is $744,036,676. And again, the tax levy would be increased by 1.65% over 2013.
Mr. Acker, you done?
Yes, I am, Madam President.
Okay, Mr. McInerney?
Yes, Madam President. as you know, we went through the course of the budget hearings and saw that in many cases, especially with the constitutionals, we didn't see any increases or nominal increases in the larger departments. So from that aspect, I think the budget is fairly tight. Again, the 1.65% is an increase from the 1.5%, basically due to the snow. There was the $2.5 million we did on the emergency appropriation side last week was taken actually out of the budget, just kind of reassigned, and the $600,000 has to be added since there's no other room to afford that. So it is about a $6.5 million increase in the levy, which, as said before, is 1.65%. It's well below the cap, as I said, about $5.9 million. I think, in theory, we've always looked to raise the levy at a nominal amount, in many cases below the cost of living, given that there are contract negotiations that take place with the union where, in fact, people do get raises, budget does go up, and for that reason, it's imperative, I think, that at a nominal amount, you institute an increase. We are looking at a fairly sizable fund balance in the range of about $40 million, but keep in mind, and as I said many times before, we always have this possibilities with the largest revenue item that we have in our budget, and that is the monies that we are receiving by way of our contract with the federal government on our ICE detainees. That is over $40 million. If we were to lose that, we would need a substantial fund balance to see our way through that, and that gets to the point raised earlier with regard also to the bank in the cap. I'd like to think we could still continue to raise fund balance as we go forward, at least to a point that makes me at least feel, and I hope all of us feel, a little more secure with regard to potential for any loss of revenues, especially the one that I've made mention of. But overall, I think the budget is fair and equitable. I think raises have been kept at a minimal amount, and other expenses in many cases were actually reduced.
Okay, Freeholder Vice President Sebo.
Thank you. We spent 2 very long Saturdays going through the budget. The last Saturday, we worked from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5:45 at night. And I'd like to thank Mr. McInerney, our budget consultant, for walking us so carefully through it. And I appreciate what you said tonight, and I'm comfortable with this budget because I know that you've looked at it so carefully and you've guided us so carefully also, so that I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing. So I'd like to thank you for all that you put in terms of this budget.
Okay, freeholders? Question, comments? Okay, Freeholder Clark.
Mr. Acker, through you, Madam President, to you, Mr. Acker, do you see anything else in the foreseeable or perhaps unforeseeable future that would cause you to come back to this board to need any additional changes?
Freeholder, excuse me, frankly, no. We put a lot of thought process, deliberation into this budget, and we're in pretty good standing, and this budget's going to take us forward in pretty good standing. We, if you will, we bit the bullet from when the executive presented his budget. We're adding $2.5 million into this. Well, actually, $2.6 million.
You're adding
for
some,
snow money.
And also the projections of the grants were all.
Well, the grants you just have to keep aside because really they don't impact they don't impact taxes. They just impact the overall dollar amount of the budget. because for every dollar in grant you spend, you have a dollar in revenue. So they offset one another. I just pointed that out to you because that will change the dollar amount of your budget. But notwithstanding the grants, again, they're not an issue. This is a very good budget, and I don't see any reason to think that we would be back in front of the board looking for relief at this juncture.
And obviously, you can't foresee emergencies, but barring any catastrophic emergency, you wouldn't need to raise any significant amount of money. Now, since the differential of the 1.5 to the 1.65, which is 1.5, what does that translate into in terms of a person, the taxpayer, the levy? What a person would have to pay? Because what they would have had to pay initially at 1.5 versus what we're going to have to pay now at 1.65, what would that be? Like 2 cents, 3 cents, a nickel? Would it be a half a penny?
On the county tax rate freeholder, first of all, the difference between 1.5% and 1.65% is roughly $600,000, which is the increase that we're asking for tonight. 1 penny on the county tax rate is roughly 8.4 million. So divide 600,000 by 8.4 million.
Okay.
There's your impact.
Okay. And that's the kind of thing that I think we need to say. We're being filmed, we're on tape, and just as Freeholder Vice President said she's comfortable, because of the due diligence, I think it's important for us to say we're comfortable because the impact is just what you just described, less than a penny, based on from what we originally thought we were going to get versus the snowstorm that we had, which is what impacted the increase, which brings us to where we are now. That's the kind of stuff that I think people want to hear, and they need to know that we understand.
Yes, Ralph?
One other point also, the board should also feel comfortable that in this budget, there's still 1.8 million in a reserve for snow. So on top of what we've added, you still have that 1.8 million
In case
as a reserve for a snowy day fund.
Okay, additional questions, freeholders? Comments? Then do I have a motion to enter and a second to introduce the 2014 Essex County budget? Moved by Freeholder Vice President Seabold. Second by Freeholder Owens. No additional questions, comments, freeholders. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley?
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla? Yes. Freeholder Clark?
Yeah.
Freeholder Gill?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Owens?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Seabold?
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, and just let me make a brief comment before the clerk reads the public hearing date for the budget. I want to thank Freeholder Clark for the clarification, because you're right. When people hear that we increase the budget line and there may be an increase in the tax levy, the first thing it would say is that's why our taxes are going up, because of the county. So I appreciate you bringing that up and making that clear on the record. Madam Clerk, will you read the public hearing date for the budget into the record, please?
Yes, Madam President. The annual budget of the County of Essex for fiscal year 2014, be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriation shall constitute the county budget for the year 2014. Be it further resolved that the said budget will be published in the Star Ledger in the issue of March 4th, 2014. The Board of Chosen Freeholders of Essex County does hereby approve the following as a budget for the year 2014. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the Board of Chosen Freeholders of Essex County on February 26, 2014. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at 465 Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, Hall of Records, Newark, New Jersey, room 506, on March 26, 2014, at 7:30 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2014 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to Resolution 4 through 7. You'll read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Shirley, will you start, will you explain the resolutions 4 through 7?
Department of Public Works, contract award to ADAPCO, the sole responsible bidder, to provide a mosquito control data web-based service, a 3-year agreement, amount not to exceed $23,595. This is an online tracking system for our mosquito control division. It allowed the department to keep track of responses to service requests from community members, daily inspection reports, chemical applications, mosquito sampling, as well as mosquito tracking and mosquito population. Resolution number 5. Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering. This is a consenting resolution to the Township of Montclair, Resolution 13-162, establishing a new crosswalk and acceptance of the maintenance responsibility for Valley Road and Brainerd Street. Montclair wants to establish a crosswalk to increase the safety for its students and its public, and Montclair will assume all of the maintenance costs.
Continue.
Resolution 6, Public Works, consenting resolution to the Township of Montclair, creating another crosswalk at the Orange Road in Canterbury Park. This new Montclair will assume all of the maintenance costs.
Continue.
And Resolution 7, this is a consenting resolution as well from West Orange, requesting to add 4 bus stops along Pleasant Valley Way from Eagle Rock to North Corporate Line. New Jersey Transit will bear all of the costs associated with the installation, removal, and maintenance of all the bus stops.
Okay, thank you. Freeholder, we'll take Resolution 4 through 7 together, and we'll ask for questions, comments on Resolution 4. Questions, comments? 5, 6, and 7. And Freeholder Gill, will you move Resolution 4 through 7?
Sure.
And
Second, Madam President.
Luciano, will you second?
Thank you.
Okay, we have a mover and a second to take Resolution 4 and 7 together. No additional questions, comments, roll call.
Freeholder Beasley.
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Clark, absent. Freeholder Gill.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Owens.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Watson.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, let's take Resolution 8, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Resolution 8, Department of Health and Rehabilitation Division of the Hospital Center 2-year affiliation agreement with Seton Hall University.
Okay, let's take 9, and then I'll ask to take 8 and 9 together, and Mr. Shirley will explain that after you read.
Resolution 9, Essex County Board of Taxation and Contract Award to American Ramp Systems, the sole responsive and responsible bidder to provide handicap ramps for the polling places, 24-month contract, amount not to exceed $100,000.
Okay, Mr. Shirley?
Alan Abramowitz, Deputy County Administrator, Madam President. Resolution 8 is Department of Health and Rehabilitation, Division of the Hospital Center. It's a 2-year affiliation agreement with Seton Hall University. It's a practicum for a training site for nursing students. Seton Hall is ensuring this, and we feel it's beneficial to both the school and the County of Essex. Resolution number 9 is Essex County Board of Taxation. It's a contract award to American Ram Systems, which is the sole responsible bidder to provide handicap ramps for polling places, a 24-month contract not to exceed $100,000. We received one bid from 14 potential vendors. The vendors from Bloomfield. It's out of their operating account. This is for compliance and ADA regulations at ramps at election sites, and we provide you with the list and the costs. And it's also for contingent elections if needed.
Freeholders, question, comments on Resolution 8?
Yes, through you, Madam President.
Yes, Freeholder
I just want to put
Luciano.
on the record that after reading through this resolution and also acting as the chair of the Hospital Oversight Committee, I think it's a fantastic idea for our students. Even through my office, I had a student that I went to the county administrator, Ralph Chiella, to help with an internship at the hospital just over the last couple of weeks. So this is right up that same alley, and I'm really proud of the administration for doing something like this, because the healthcare system that's out there and the job market, you know, is very tough. And so actually having this this hands-on training and being in a facility, I think will only empower those students coming out of Seton Hall University and their resumes.
Very good. Additional questions, comments on Resolution 8? Resolution 9? No additional questions, comments? Roll call, Madam Clerk. We're taking 8 and 9 together. Oh, do I have a mover? Moved by Freeholder Beasley. Do I have a second? Freeholder Bobadilla. Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley?
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
Yes.
Freeholder Clark?
Yes.
Freeholder Gill?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson? Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Owens?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Tebow? Yes. Freeholder President Watson?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we'll take resolutions 10 through 16, all commendation resolutions. And we'll read them into the record at a later time. That would be 10 through 16. Do I have a mover and second to take resolution 10 through 16 together? Moved by Freeholder Clark, second by Freeholder Johnson. Okay, no further questions on that, I doubt. Or do we have questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Beasley?
Yes.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
Yes.
Freeholder Clark?
Yes.
Freeholder Gill?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Owens?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Tebow? Freeholder President Watson?
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any added starter resolutions, ordinances?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay, report of board committees. Do we have any report from any of the boards? I know we heard from you early on, Freeholder Beasley. Do you have any additional comments from your board meeting, from your committee meeting? No additional comments? Okay. Do we have any other board committee comments? Freeholder Clark.
Madam President, through you, Mr. Chalala, I know we were supposed to have a meeting about the modernization.
We did.
But I think we got snowed out. Did we have it? We got snowed out the day that we were gonna have it, right?
Alan Abramowitz, it was held last Thursday.
Say it again?
It was held last Thursday at 18 Rector Street.
It was,
It was held, yes.
It was,
Yes.
not the day that we had all that snow?
No, there was no snow. Last Thursday.
Oh, okay, well then,
It was the week after. It was
so
canceled.
you held it the week after? Okay, then I did miss it. Maybe you could kind of give a little update if possible, thank you.
You want them to give an update
I
on
just,
that?
yeah, because the modernization is kind of important, the welfare piece.
Through you, Madam President, if you'd like, I had kept a copy of the whole report. I can give you the report. They provided us a schematic, an entire
You know
report.
what? That would be ideal, and then everybody, all of the freeholders could get an overview of that. Okay,
I think that,
fantastic.
yeah.
Will do.
And
Okay, so you'll-
Madam President, with your, I'll schedule with the clerk a work first meeting,
Okay.
and we'll find out what day is good for Mr. Chilella and Mr. Abramowitz.
Sure.
And then we can kind of through committee.
Okay.
Um,
After we
give-
receive the
give it-
report, we have the report. And you'll be
Exactly.
able to
Give an overview.
discuss it in your welfare meeting. Okay, additional committee comments, questions? We have legislative reports, written communication, unfinished business, new business. We'll go to the public comment session. If any member of the public would like to address. Okay, Mr. Wadu, come on up. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Edward Dewey, I'm in Orange, New Jersey. Oh, this come loose. I don't know what's- Oh, Ralph, thank you. I just have one concern. We have something that is about the seniors. It's about in Building 92. This administration has promised to renovate it so that we could have the senior nutrition program. It's been over 6 months, and nothing has been, well, a little bit has been done, very little. And what we need to do is get that started to get these seniors off of this couch. And through Jackie DeVore, they have, I think about 4 or 5 weeks ago, they allocated another $4 million for transportation for these senior citizens to come out. The federal government don't want them sitting there. They want them out. And with this nutritional program that they have decided to put in Weequahic Park in Building 92, it is left to the county to renovate it or to straighten it out, to put it in operational for this particular group. So, Ralph, through you, Madam President, we see if the administration can kind of speed this up, because it is a thing that's coming up. We got the centennial coming up, and a whole lot of stuff that's coming up. Even I'm coming up. So we would like to do this as soon as possible. It is a thing in our community that is needed to get those seniors out. And since the Dayton Street project, the people, the developers in Boston have come and saw Weequahic Park. They have used Weequahic Park now. They shifted their program to make Weequahic Park the centerpiece of the Dayton Street project. All of that is going to be changed. You won't be coming to Dayton Street. You'll be coming to what they call it, Airport Village. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wadu. And I'm sure Ralph hear you loud and clear, and we will respond to you in writing, as we do all other constituents that come before the board. Do we have anyone else from the public who would like to speak? No? Okay. Now we're going to freeholder comment session. Freeholder Clark.
Yes, Madam President, just once again, on the budget piece, the $2 million increase was money well spent, because I don't know about other freeholders and how you felt about other municipalities, but I can say without equivocation that the county roads were in great shape. Mr. Chilella, kudos to, your team, to the county exec, to Sanjay and Public Works. So what you spent to make sure that people were able to get through county roads was well worth it. And if it had to be a slight increase, which translated into less than really a full penny on the tax levy, then it was well worth it. And then to hear that the budget, even now, as it is presently constructed and as we voted on it tonight, still contains a contingency. That says that, you know, you're looking ahead, because we don't think we're going to get anything like what we got, but we could get another snowy day, but you're ready for it. So I just want to say thank you personally for all that you did to go help people find salt, and, you know, to make sure that the county roads were passable, because, and I would imagine that New Jersey Transit thanks you very much too, because a lot of, the buses are using the county roads to be able to get people back and forth to work. So, you're a good egg, sir. You're a good egg.
Okay, additional comments, freeholders?
I'm sorry, Madam President.
Yes,
While I still
Freeholder
have the
Clark.
floor, I just want to say thank you to everybody for being a little bit African American today. I know that you are able to get in touch with your African American lineage today, everyone, because we all have a little bit of African American lineage in us. If we look closely enough, we're going to be able to find a little bit in us. But I think that we're going to find a little bit of Irish in us, and a little bit of Italian, and a little bit of Jewish, and a little bit of Latino and Hispanic as well. So a little bit of Italian. We got it all going on right here in Essex County. But Madam President, kudos to our staff.
Yes.
Let's hear it for Deborah Davis Ford, our clerk, and our staff. You guys did a great job. I love the slideshow out there in the hallway. We were able to talk a little bit about, African Americans in Essex County. Ralph, I understand you and Assemblywoman Oliver were able to track down the very first person of color to serve, and the fact that the gentleman served an unexpired term, and also that Charlie Matthews was the very first African American ever to sit as a president of the Freeholder Board. So, and we had a little bit of history downstairs tonight. So that journey that we talk about is real good, and I just feel kind of proud to have my name associated with a board that has had a rich, and vibrant history. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Freeholders, any additional comments? Just let me tell you that I worked with Deborah and the staff, but they have some hard-working staff. We have the best staff in Essex County.
Right.
So Joe, you go back and tell Joe I said the freeholders have the best staff. Excluding you, you're a part of us.
I feel like I'm the, instead of the sixth man, I'm the 10th man.
And also you, Mr. Abranowitz. You guys belong to the freeholders, but we have an outstanding staff. And I have to tell you, you guys work hard. You come up with new ideas, run it past me, and we get together, and I say, if that's what you think will work, let's do it. So I want to thank you, make sure the staff know that we thank them for all that you do.
I sure will, Madam President, and freeholders.
Okay. All righty, and we did have some outstanding honorees this evening.
Sure did.
Yes. So with that.
Took the cake, didn't he? The little guy.
Oh, the
10-year-old.
10-year-old. Is he 8 or 10?
10.
10? He was awesome. Yes, he's very good, very good. Do you have something for me to read tonight? Nothing? We had no comments? Okay, so we are moved to a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.